All right, good morning and welcome to our very special Adventures in Learning program presented by the Cannon Valley Senior Center. My name is Teresa Johnson and I'm the Executive Director for the Cannon Valley Senior Center. I couldn't do my job without all the amazing board members. Could all the current and past board members please stand up for a round of applause? This is one hard-working group, let me tell you, and they're all great. This is the Senior Center's 4th year of honoring our local veterans. The ceremony would not be possible without John Hobart's dedication to our veterans and the communities. John, please stand. Let's give you all a round of applause. Thank you, John. Here are a few announcements before we get started. We do have a meal that's catered by the Trophy House after this presentation, and you can buy tickets. It's $10 a ticket from the table out there in the main entryway. Our community annual Thanksgiving dinner that we sponsor, the Senior Center, will be on Thanksgiving Day, November 28th. The meal will be served in the lower level of St. Pius Catholic Church from 11:30 to 1 p.m. Reservations are not required, but you can call the Cannon Valley Senior Center to let us know if you will be attending. This event promotes a Thanksgiving meal without charge. Our volunteer list is pretty full, but there's still slots for people to drive and deliver meals. This is all free will donations, so come as you are and give the Senior Center a call to help if you can that day. As you came in, I hope you noticed our quilt that is being raffled on December 4th. Our quilting group at Cannon Valley Senior Center has put that together. Our quilters, their goal with the funds with this quilt raffle is to make enough money to have supplies to make a lap quilt for everyone at the gardens or Cannon River who's in need. You can get a ticket for $5 or three tickets for $10. I would like to thank you all for being here once again on this Veterans Day 2019. At this time, I'd like to ask you all to stand to honor our nation's colors. Please join in with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, all can be seated. I'd like to invite John Hobart to lead us in our Veterans Prayer.
Before I do that, I'd like to do a couple other things. Mr. Bob Roll brought a book, Vietnam Veterans, of all the guys that lost their lives in Vietnam. If you'd like to take a look at this book, I'm going to put it out on my registration table out front. I think you'll enjoy looking at it. For those of you that it might affect, if you had a friend or something like that. They've got it broken down by states and counties in here. It's really detailed. So I think you know the numbers. It was 52,000 plus Vietnam vets. Second thing I'd like to do is just spend a couple minutes in recognizing a good personal friend of mine, John Fritz. I think you all are aware John Fritz was quite an icon at the high school. Coached track, taught for 29 years. John graduated from Laverne High School in 1950, where he played baseball, basketball, and ran track. Winning the state tournament in the half mile was one of his proudest accomplishments. Following high school, he enlisted in the U.S. Navy, where he attended school and became an aerial photographer. He was stationed numerous places, including the naval base at Sugi, Japan. After returning home, John was united in marriage to Viola Van Vorst on July 11, 1954. They resided in Cannon Falls after John received his bachelor's degree from Mankato State University. John was a teacher at the high school for 29 years. If you ever wanted to talk to John, it was hard to get away from him because he wanted to talk track for those of you that knew him. His heart was in it. During his teaching career, he taught science, math, and started the photography department. He was a legendary track and cross-country coach in the state of Minnesota. How many of you ran track for him? Raise your hands. So, being unable to go to the funeral today, I thought it'd be good to recognize John. So, John, I'm there by heart, even though not present. Thank you very much. Join me in prayer, though, to open our program today. Dear Lord, today we honor our veterans, worthy men and women who gave their best when they were called upon to serve and protect their country. We pray that you will bless them, Lord, for their unselfish service in the continual struggle to preserve our freedom, our safety, our country's heritage, and for all of us. Bless them abundantly for the hardships they faced, for the sacrifices they made, for their many different contributions to America's victories over tyranny and oppression. We respect them, we thank them, and we pray that you will watch over these special people and bless them with peace and happiness. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, John. Last Monday, we observed Veterans Day, a celebration of patriotism, service, and sacrifice for all those who have served in the United States military. More than 18 years of war, we now have the largest population of young vets since the Vietnam War. Regardless of which military branch our veterans have served in, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, or Coast Guard, this day will belong to all of them, just as it belongs to the mass generations of patriots who came before. They have served with honor and with dignity. They have served in different places and in different ways, but they all have served. They have not only fought wars, they have preserved the peace. They have lived on common lives under a common banner of love for their country and their service for their fellow man. We must not forget the families of our veterans either, as they too have served and sacrificed along with our veterans. Therefore, it is fitting that we pause as a nation, as people, to recognize their service and sacrifices. At this time, I would like to honor all of our area veterans who are in attendance today. Could all the World War II veterans please stand? You guys, you can stay standing because I'm going to have you come to the front for a picture. So stay standing. All Korean veterans, please stand. All Vietnam veterans, please stand. All Gulf War veterans, please stand. That's you. Could I please have all of you come to the front so I could get a picture? Our featured speaker this morning is Jim Mahoney. He was born in 1942 and graduated from Cretin High School in St. Paul in 1960. Jim entered into the U.S. Navy in the January of 1961. He attended boot camp in San Diego, California. After boot camp, he was stationed stateside, first in Memphis, Tennessee, and then Norfolk, Virginia. From 1965 to 2002, Jim worked at Northwestern Bell. His hobbies include restoring old cars, hunting, and fishing. He has been married to Colleen for 58 years. He is currently a member of the American Legion Post 142 of Cannon Falls and the Memorial Rifle Squad at Fort Snelling National Ceremony. We are so happy to have him here with us today. Would you please welcome Mr. Jim Mahoney?
Good morning, everyone. I am pleased to be here and honored to be here today to stand with fellow veterans. One of the things that John asked me when we first met was if I would give a few things that touch my heart and what Veterans Day means to me. That's the toughest question I've had in a long time because I can't put it into just a few words. And now being on the Memorial Rifle Squad, it means 10 times greater than what I thought before. But some of the things I jotted down was that it's a day to reflect with gratitude, honor, and respect on all veterans from all branches, from all wars and non-wars. We owe them a lot. It also reminds me of when we first go in, you raise your right hand and you swear to fulfill a number of things. And you don't ask, what do I got to do or where am I going to go? You're told where you're going to go and you do it and you serve with honor. The unfortunate thing that I think about also is that all too many veterans come back, and they come back from wars with not leaving the war behind, but bringing the war home with them. I can't tell you the amount of friends that have shared things that bother them to this day, seeing their fellow comrades and what happened to them. And this is also a special day for me, and it's not the only day, but it's a special day to remember those veterans and pray for those veterans and ask our Lord to ease their pain and suffering. I think at this point I would like to have you show the video. I've got about a 5-minute video, and it's entitled The Friday Squad. It's about the Memorial Rifle Squad. There's a squad for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And it started in 1979, and this is a little clip on the squad before I start talking about it. John, please.
For us, every day is Memorial Day. These eyes have seen change, drastic changes. Over the last 21 years, we have served over 34,000 funerals here at Fort Snelling National Cemetery. Port Horn! From Monday through Friday, we try to take care of our comrades, whether we know them or not. Ready! We have one common link. Aim! We serve this country to the best of our ability. Hey! My name is George John Weiss, Jr. I served the tour of duty with the United States Marine Corps right at the closing days of World War II. Today I'm serving as the squad leader for Friday here at Fort Snelling National Cemetery.
My name is Kevin Burns, and I served in the United States Marine Corps, 1st Marine
Bill Gudenkauf, served in the United States Navy.
I served in
in Korea.
Served during the Vietnam War.
In the Marine Corps in World War II. I was a gunner's mate, 3rd class.
Served on a submarine base.
The U.S. Army for 2 years.
Guadalcanal and Okinawa.
North Africa, Italy, France, and Germany.
We are the Friday Squad. We're not individuals. We are the Friday Squad.
We are a group of people
Who are all veterans of each of the military services.
And it is strictly a volunteer organization
Present Horn!
to honor the veteran who has served for his last time.
We don't do it for the notoriety. We do it because we felt it has to be done. The Memorial Rifle Squad is the oldest rifle squad of its style in the United States. We started on June the 19th of 1979 with 6 of us. We had 2 funerals. Today, we have 120 men on this rifle squad. We average 10, 12 funerals a day. Of the original 6 members of the rifle squad, I was the youngest, and I'm the last survivor.
So much for technology. Before I get into how and why the Rifle Squad came to be, there's a number of people from this area that are on the Rifle Squad or have been on the Rifle Squad. The first one is Bernie Melter, was on the Rifle Squad before he passed away. He was on the Rifle Squad for 15 years. Jim Pagel, another person from this area, was on the Rifle Squad, and both of these gentlemen were on the Tuesday Squad, which I am on, but I did not know either one of them. The third one is Ricky Youngmark, who is also on the Tuesday Squad, and the only other one from this area is Roger Oddie, who is on the Monday Rifle Squad, and he's the bugler for that squad. I just want to thank each and every one of them for their service and also for being on the Rifle Squad. And I know if they were here, they would say the same thing that I feel. It's a terrific honor. For many years, I kept saying, I need to do something for the veterans. I need to recognize them and their families. And when the opportunity came, and I was asked if I would think about being on the Rifle Squad, I gladly said yes. And about 2 months later, they called me and said there's an opening. Okay, the Rifle Squad, as you've seen in that picture, George Weiss Jr., prior to 1978, there was more military stationed in Fort Snelling, and they had a active duty rifle squad. But when 78 came along, there was very few active duty service people, and George went to a funeral of a friend of his, and there was no one there with a rifle squad. There were some that were filling in from the various Legion clubs and VFWs, but when he was there was no one to recognize his comrade in his time. And it bothered him to the point where he kept talking about it and thinking about it. He got together with 6 other veterans and sat down with the Memorial Cemetery Commission, and they came together and created the very first all-volunteer rifle squad, and that was on June 19th, 1979, and that's how it came about. So that was the first squad, the Tuesday squad. The next one was the Friday squad, and that was in exception in September 7th of 1979. Then the Thursday squad came in effect of April 3rd of 1980. The Wednesday squad, September 24th of 1980. And Monday squad, February 9th of 1981. So in little less than a year, a little more over a year, there was total voluntary squads covering all 5 days. Now to get into some of the things that we do on the Rifle Squad. We conduct honors Monday through Friday for as many as 17 veterans per day. So there's up to 17 ceremonies. I personally have not seen 17 yet. I've been part of 16 ceremonies on 3 different occasions. So, and we do that each day. They start the ceremonies at 10 o'clock, and the last one normally is 2 o'clock, and it's every 15 minutes. So what we do is we got a bus that we get on, go to shelter. They'll give you a shelter number. You go to, say, shelter 2. You go there, you line up, get ready, you do the ceremony, and then you get back on the bus and go to the next one. It's just constant all day long. And on the evening prior to the ceremonies, which will be this Monday, I will get an email from the squad headquarters, and it's about a 3-page email. I've got a copy of one here. I just hold it up. Anyway, there's one here somewhere. And it's got on there the time of each ceremony, say 10 o'clock. It's got the veteran's first name and last name. It's got which shelter the ceremony will be at. And then it'll show whether you have to fold the flag or not fold the flag. And if there's any special requests from any survivor's family. Each and every rifle squad, including our squad on Tuesday, any requests that the family brings to us, we try to meet, and we have met everyone at this point. Those could be things like they want us to fold the flag. Sometimes if it's a cremation, there's a flag that's folded in the triangle. Some of them want us to unfold it and refold it and present it. We do that. Some people will want someone from the family, or they want someone from the rifle squad who was in, say if the deceased was in the Marine Corps, they might request that one of the people in the rifle squad that's from the Marines, that they present it. And it's very seldom, but that does happen. There's many, many different things. And one of the most common ones is that the rifle shells, after we do the 3 volleys of shots, people want the shells. So. Okay, the Memorial Rifle Squad, since June 19th, 1979, has never missed a ceremony. They are always there, everyone that's scheduled. There have been 3 or 4 occasions since I've been on there in April that there's extra ones that come up all of a sudden that didn't get on the record, and we meet all those requests. And some of them come where you're supposed to have the last one at 2 o'clock, and this has happened twice where all of a sudden we get word that there's another ceremony, somebody'd like us to be there, and it might be 2:30, 3 o'clock. And I have never seen where anyone on the squad balked on that at all. We meet each and every request. Okay, since June of 1979, the Memorial Rifle Squad has compiled over 40,000 volunteer hours and logged over 175,000 miles of driving to volunteer. It's also conducted over 75,000 ceremonies, and we folded over 1,000 flags. Speaking for myself, and I'm new on the squad, since April, I've been part of 232 ceremonies since April, and I've driven over 2,200 miles to get to Fort Snelling and back. So there's a lot of dedication from everyone on each and every squad. In closing, I'd like to say that each and every squad, and I can only speak for the Tuesday squad because I'm on the Tuesday squad, we're made up of many different people, many different and graphically different individuals. One person on our squad has 3 Purple Hearts. He was a Marine machine gunner, and he's still suffering shrapnel in his body, but he has 3 Purple Hearts. He also, when he got out of the Marine Corps, he ended up, his last duty was the head of the Minneapolis Police SWAT team. A very interesting individual. Another man on the squad has 2 Purple Hearts, and he also suffers from shrapnel and other wounds. We have a person that was an infantry officer in Korea. We have a person that was a paratrooper. And interesting, when I talked to him and said, how many jumps have you made? Just in our conversation as we're riding in the van to the next ceremony, he said, well, on the record or off the record? And I said, both. And he said, well, on the record, I'm accredited with 5 jumps. Off the record, there's 10 other jumps that there's no record of. And we were told, if anything happened to us, no one will recognize you, because we weren't supposed to be there. So, you know, when you look at this brings me back to why we are here, why we want to recognize the veterans. Each and every veteran goes through something that we can't imagine unless you've been there and you've seen it. So, and I tried to sum up a little bit of like I said, it's a dramatically different group of people, and we all get along, we all harass each other as far as the branch of service you were in, and I get jokes every once in a while, even by our squad leader, who's a Marine and a dear friend, that you guys were in the Navy and you don't know how to march, you don't know how to, so, and it's always jokingly. It was even a couple of weeks ago, there was a person in one of the ceremonies that she came up to the squad leader and wanted to know if there's any Navy personnel on the squad that was an E4. And of course, he told her, but he come back and said to me, I told her we don't have any Navy people. So, it's always those constant little, but it's all in fun, and I gotta say, every single person is a friend, a dear friend. And each squad is made up of 25 people. Okay. The 25 people are made up by, you've got flag carriers. You need a flag carrier for the American flag is first on the right-hand side here. And then it's the Army flag, the Marine Corps flag, the Navy flag, the Air Force flag, the Coast Guard flag, and then the POW-MIA. And that's the order that they're in. The only exception is that if, let's say it was a ceremony for a Navy person, okay, then it would be the American flag and then the Navy flag. And then we'd start with the Army, the Marine Corps, okay? So that's part of the recognition for the person that is deceived. Like I said, we're made up of completely different individuals with many different variations. but we're all brought together in a common bond. And that bond is, and this is what I put down, to honor those who served and to show respect, appreciation, and sympathy to the living and who love them, and that's where we're at. So it's not only about the deceased veteran, it's about the living that survived, and we also need to keep them in our prayers because many of them have gone through quite a bit also. So I guess with that, I would take any questions. If I can't answer a question, I will get your name and phone number, and I will get you an answer. So, does anybody have any questions?
What's the coldest day you've been out there?
Coldest, now I've only been there since April, but a couple of weeks ago it was pretty cold, it was snowing, and it's not only the temperature, it's the wind. When you're sitting there, we're trying to hold the flag and the wind is blowing, you know, it gets to the point where it's up to and the flag part is the color guard. And it's up to the person heading up the color guard, which is a person carrying a chrome rifle. I mentioned all the flags, and on each side of the flags is a person carrying a chrome rifle. And it depends on the ceremony, which way the hearse would come, which person, the chrome rifle person on left or right, which one calls the commands. And it's up to that person to say, it's so windy that let's not hold them in front, but hold them down to your side, okay? The wind is the worst part, but, you know, there's one gentleman on there that's been wearing long underwear almost since I've been there, and he's been on the squad for 20 years. I mean, he has, you got to hand it to him, and he always let him carry the American flag. So, yes. No, there was some for a while, but there is none now. A matter of fact, the person that was ahead of the Saturday squad is now on the Tuesday squad. But that's not to say it won't go back, but a lot of that is the commission out at the airport. So, and the other thing is, if there's a burial where there could not be, say a Saturday one, each rifle squad, and ours Tuesday is coming up in the beginning of December, where we go in earlier and we go up to the main headquarters and do the ceremony for all of those that have passed away in the last month that did not get a recognition. Okay. The other thing with that too is, and I mentioned about requests. Sometimes we're out there and the Patriot Guard is there. I'm sure everybody knows what the Patriot Guard is. It comes on our schedule and it'll say Patriot Guard, and we know they'll be there, and there might be 10, 12, 15 of them with all the American flag and the flags of each service, and they kind of go behind us, and they're part of the ceremony, but they don't take an active part. They're there, and we welcome them, and we welcome anyone that wants to pay respect to the veterans. So, and we get along great. We sit and talk with them for a few minutes before we have to go to the next one. So, yes. What was that?
Do you hold a flag, and if you do, what flag do you hold?
Which one do I hold? Okay, that's a good question. The one thing that I like about the squad leader that we have, his name is Dan Fisher, and he's one that has 2 Purple Hearts, and he was in the Marine Corps. Not all the squads operate the same. The squad leader and the squad come together on how they want to do it. And our squad, to my knowledge, is the only one where when I go in Tuesday morning, I'll go down and the book will be there, and it'll have my name, and it'll say flag bearer, it'll say chrome rifle, it'll say rifle squad, or car parker, or flag presenter, okay? So if I go in and it says flag holder, then when I get on the bus, we just kind of automatically just grab a flag. Because it makes no difference to us. It's all about the member that passed away. So I have personally carried the POW MIA. I've carried the Army. I've carried the Coast Guard. I've carried the Navy, Army. I guess I've carried all but the American flag. Because we leave the American flag to the oldest person on that roster. And he has a hard time walking, so. Okay? Yes? Oh, yes, it goes, we have never missed a one, and it goes all year round. And like I said, I get an email on Monday night, and it'll show, I should find that once, but it'll show, how many there are. But it never, there's always one every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, no matter how cold it is, or if it's raining. You mentioned colds. There's been a few times out there in the rain, and this was before, like now part of the uniform is long sleeves and boots. And in the summer here, early fall, it was a cold rain, and we all were in the summer uniform yet, which was short sleeves and shoes like I have on now, black shoes. And our feet were soaking wet after the first ceremony for the rest of the day, and I never hear anyone complain, Any other questions? Yes? What is the significance for the Chrome rifle? It's just another honor position, and the Chrome Rifle people, okay, if I'm standing here and the curse is coming from my left, the person carrying a Chrome Rifle on the left, if that's me, what I have to do is watch when they come up, and the person driving the car for the cemetery, as they're coming up, will hold their hand out the window and go 1, 2, 3. That signifies that the deceased, whether it's a cremation or a hearse, is that they're in the first car, third car, or whatever. So when I watch that, and if I'm on the left with the Chrome Rifle, when that car comes up, there's a certain, you got to judge exactly where you call the color guard to order, attention, and then when the car gets right close, you go to present arms. And then when the car stops and its key is shut off, you put everybody back at parade rest and then go on from there. So that's why the Chrome Rifle, that's the person that, it's just another respect, but he also gives the commands. The person on the right, in that case, with the Chrome Rifle, when it's over with, the rifle squad leader, who is Dan Fisher, would tell the color guard, attention, port arms, and that's when we go to port arms, and then he'd say, right face, and then march. The Chrome Rifle on the right, when you get close to the bus, it's up to you to say, color guard, halt, and then recover. And that means that take the flags and roll them back up. So it's just another honored position. We do not fire the Chrome Rifles. So just a symbol. It's the same rifle. The rifles we use are 1903 Springfield bolt action, 5 rounds. All of the other ones we shoot them. They work. The chrome ones are not. It's just something more to catch your eye with the flags. So, anybody else? Okay. Well, I want to thank you very much. It's been an honor for me to be here, and I can't tell you how much of an honor it is for me to be on the rifle squad. Each and every ceremony, it goes right to my heart, and I thank the Lord for allowing me to be there and say farewell to each and every one of them. And I can't tell you what it means and you don't look for this, but there are people that when we're marching back to the bus, they run to the bus and they're shaking everybody's hands and saying thank you, you know. And it's also neat the different people you meet. 2 weeks ago, there was a person there that we talked to just briefly. He was active duty in the Navy. He was a commander. And what we found out, he was an active duty Navy SEAL. So, and one guy went up and shook his hand, and he says, "Man, did I feel that shake?" So, I mean, they're in terrific shape. So, okay. Well, thank you very much, John.
Today, we will recognize our 2019 fourth class of World War II, Korean, Vietnam, and our newly honored veterans. As most of you know, we celebrate Veterans Day on the anniversary of armistice that ended the First World War, the war to end all wars, as it was ironically known. On the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month, the battlefields of war-torn Europe finally fell silent, as more than 4 years of unfathomable destruction came to an end. Unfortunately for us all, that silence was very short-lived. In the Vietnam War, a Cold War, a Gulf War, and a global war on terror, but just as fortunately in every case, whenever freedom was threatened, gallant men and women have risked and sometimes given their lives for this great nation. It is what has made America exceptional, the generations of patriots who dedicate themselves to the defense of the United States. The Cannon Valley Senior Center's purpose today is to recognize, thank, and honor United States military veterans who have served. John, a Vietnam veteran, has put together this presentation on veterans that we are honoring today. Please turn your attention to the screen. Now, we would like to recognize our newly honored veterans. I believe we have 14 new veterans to honor today. As I announce their names, Jesse Johnson will present a special pin to give to each veteran inducted into the fifth class of our Cannon Valley Senior Center's veterans. PFC James Albright, Corporal Curtis Bowen, Corporal Robert Brown, Airman Thomas Christensen, Chief Machinist Mate Herbert Barnes, Private Wilbur Bergstrom, Specialist 4 Laura Bremer. Come on up. Yep, come on up. Laura was in the U.S. Army National Guard from 1974 to 1980. Mm-hmm. Oh, so you're going to make me guess. Oh, I see. Yep, Vietnam era. Sorry, John. Lance Corporal William J. Bremer, Vietnam era. U.S. Marine Corps, 1972 to 1974. Commendations, National Defense Medal, Expert Rifle Medal, Marine Corps Commendation Medal. Thank you. You can stay, she can stay up here. Stay up. Sylvia Klopek can also come up. Oh, for Heather Sharp. Okay. Let me find her. Sylvia will be getting the medal or the pin here for Heather Sharp. She was U.S. Air National Guard from 1993 to 2001. Here, Jess, over here. Yes. Private Wilbur Bergstrom, U.S. Air Force, 1945 to 1946. James Sherwinka, U.S. Army, Korea veteran. Sergeant James Klywowski, Vietnam veteran, U.S. Army 1968 through 1970. Sykowski, sorry. I'm not local. I'm sure I'll do it again, too. Commendations are National Defense Medal, Double Bronze Star, Army Commendation Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Vietnam Campaign Medal, Army Merit Unit Commendation, Expert Rifle Medal. He is Vietnam. Korean veteran Louis Davidson, U.S. Navy, 1951 to 1953. Commendations were Naval Uplift Orientation Division Medal, past commander of the Cannon Falls American Legion. Patsy Davis is going to be representing for their family. Korean. Yep. Vietnam veteran Richard Dofing, U.S. Navy 1955 to 1957. Corporal Les Elias, 1943 to 1946, U.S. Army. Vietnam veteran Petty Officer Howard Hunt, U.S. Naval Air Force, 1955 to 1965. Korean veteran Specialist Virginia Mae Duncan, U.S. Army, 1950 to 1953. Her accommodations were Korean Service Medal and United Nations Service Medal. Barb is receiving on behalf of her mother's award. World War II veteran Vernon J. Hagen, U.S. Navy, 1944 through 1946. World War II veteran Leslie Johnson, U.S. Army. Is Lorraine Johnson here? She's receiving his award. World War II. Gulf War veteran Corporal Jim Joseph, U.S. Marine Corps, 1984 to 1990. Navy Unit Commendation, Unit Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Presidential Service Badge, Expert Rifle Medal, Pistol Sharpshooter Medal. Korea Veteran Specialist 3rd Class Evans Josephine, U.S. Army Reserve, 1954 to 1956. World War II veteran Private Jerome Judge, U.S. Army, U.S. Merchant Marines, 1942 to 1953. Vietnam Veteran Specialist E5 Tom Kruger, U.S. Army, 1965 to 1971. Korean veteran Private Donald Lindahl, Specialist E7 Bruce Lawrence, Gulf War veteran, U.S. Navy 1987 to 2010. Accommodations, Navy Accommodation Medal, Navy Achievement Medal. Vietnam veteran Command Sergeant Major Jim Lawrence, U.S. Army 1962 to 1970. Gulf War veteran Mitch Lawrence, U.S. Air Force. Vietnam Sergeant Nicholas P. Lawrence, U.S. Army, 1961 to 1969. Gulf War veteran Sergeant Jen Lawrence, U.S. Navy, 2002 to 2009. TD3 James P. Mahoney, Vietnam veteran, U.S. Navy 1961 to 65. Vietnam veteran Gunnery Sergeant Bernie Melter, U.S. Marine Corps 1965 to 1967. Korea veteran storekeeper Daniel Moltzen, U.S. Navy 1946 to 1947. World War II veteran T4 DeRuve Nelson. DeVere, thank you. F. Nelson, U.S. Army 1940 to 1945. Accommodations, 3 overseas bars, American Defense Medal, American Theater Service Medal, Good Conduct Medal, Pacific Theater Service Medal. Donna Nelson is receiving her grandfather's award recognition. Korean veteran Staff Sergeant Laurel Jean Nelson, U.S. Air Force, 1950 to 1952. Korean veteran PFC Sterling Nelson, U.S. Army. Korean veteran Gary Peterson. World War II veteran Private First Class George Rapp, U.S. Army 1942 to 1945. Cold War veteran, Specialist 4, Charles B. Sabrowski. U.S. Army National Guard 1981 to 1989. Accommodations are Armed Achievement Medal. Vietnam veteran Sergeant Norm Sass, U.S. Navy 1956 to 1962. Specialist 5 Eugene Scheel, Vietnam veteran, U.S. Navy 1956 to 1960. Cold War veteran Heather Sharp, which we also already recognized. Vietnam veteran PFC Larry Van Gilder, U.S. Army Reserve 1956 to 1958. Korean veteran Staff Sergeant Oscar Quidam, U.S. Air Force 1950 to 1954. Accommodations were Good Conduct Medal. Gulf War veteran Specialist 4 Jeremy Umbrike. Did I ruin that one too? U.S. Army 1987 to 1994. Accommodations, Asian Service Medal, 3 Bronze Stars Medal, Army Sharpshooter Badge. PFC Walter Voshelik. U.S. Army 1948 to 1953. Cold War veteran PFC Yibera. U.S. Army National Guard 2007 to 2012. Vietnam veteran Senior Master Sergeant Delborn Weischek. U.S. Army or U.S. Air Force 1954 to 1974. Korean veteran Sergeant Dick Zulik, U.S. Army or U.S. Air Force 1948 to 1952. Let's give a round of applause for all our veterans and family members.